I am Maria Garcia de Fleury. The Feast of Our Lady of Candelaria is also called the Feast of the Purification of Mary and the Feast of the Presentation of the Child Jesus in the Temple. The early Church of Jerusalem celebrated the presentation of the child Jesus in the temple 40 days after his birth, as stipulated by the law. In front of the temple, there was the priest called Simon and Anna the prophetess. That day, the Virgin Mary was also purified. They thus remembered the first solemn presentation of Christ in the house of God. At that time, the celebration did not have its own name. It was simply called the 40th day after Epiphany. This proves that December 24 at midnight was the feast of the birth of Christ. This celebration spread to the entire church. A solemn procession was always carried out with candles, representing that Christ is the light of the world, and they entered in the temple. The devotion to Our Lady of Candelaria originated in Tenerife, Spain. According to tradition, Our Lady appeared in 1392 to two aborigines of the Canary Island called Guanches while they were shepherding their flock. When they reached a ravine where they were going to lock their cattle in the caves, they noticed that the cattle were milling around and did not want to enter. They looked towards the mouth of the ravine and saw on a rock almost at the edge of the sea a wooden image more or less 60 centimeters high. Getting closer, they saw that it was the image of a woman who had a candle in her left hand and was carrying a child with her right arm. The child carried a golden bird in his hands. The image seemed to move. Since it was forbidden for men to speak or approach women in deserted areas, they signaled her to leave so that the castle could pass. But as he waved her away, his arm remained stiff and motionless. The other shepherd wanted to hurt her with his knife, but he was also injured. Frightened, the two fled to Chinguano, to the cave palace of the Mensei King Acaimo, to tell him what had happened. The king went with his court to see the woman, and they picked her up to take her to the palace. They, at the contact with the image, were healed. The Mensei understood that the woman with the child in her arms was something supernatural. Mensei himself wanted to carry her in his arms, but after a while, due to the way, he needed to ask for help. At the place of the apparition, they placed a large cross, and in the place where the Mensei asked for help, a sanctuary. They took her to a cave near the Mensei's palace, now converted into a chapel. Later, a young man named Anton, who had been taken there as a slave by the Spanish and had managed to escape, returned to his island, recognized the Virgin Mary in the miraculous image, and told the story. The image was stolen by the Spaniards, but returned after a plague that they attributed to sacrilegious theft. In 1526, the sanctuary was built because of the many wonders that God worked through Our Lady of Candelaria. In Venezuela, Our Lady of Candelaria is celebrated, remembering the presentation of the child in the temple and the transfer of the image of Our Lady of Coromoto to the Church of Guanare, because everyone at that time and today knows that she is the Mother of God, who we have to take care of, and that with God we always win.